What's up guys, Card Protagonist here. Today I'll be doing a deck profile on Tsuku's Jackknife deck from SBT02A, Blazing Overclash. Jackknife is back with all new upgrades from Blazing Overclash. With advanced evolution of Jack and Tsuku's new Dragon Force, the Star Guardians are unstoppable, and they have the tournament results to back it up. The core of the deck mechanic is Toolbox, giving the fighter flexibility to position his strategy according to the situation. The new Jackknife Overload's ability to transform into any Jackknife allows you to pick the perfect tool for the job, and the new Dragon Force allows you to gear Jack with any Dragon Arm from the deck according to your matchup. Truly a majestic deck in the hands of a fighter who has perfect judgment of the situation. So without further ado, let's analyze the deck. For the buddy, I'll be using a Buddy Rare Jackknife Fullwing. His ability to go into Jenny Jackknife and draw you extra cards is just amazing. It is also a perfect all-rounder as he has the ability to move, double attack as well as draw power. This card's just amazing and speeds up the deck overall. First up, a playset of Jackknife Overload. This is one of the most important Jackknife in the deck because it allows you to transform into any Jackknife of your choosing. He has the concourse of putting this card on top of a monster on the field and paying 1 gauge. So it could be Dragon Arms or it could be any other Jackknife. Its ability is if this card's on the field or in the soul of a new dragon, all cards on the soul cannot be dropped by opponent's card effect. It is very important because if you're going to Aster, its only weakness is actually soul drop, and having this guy in the soul of Aster prevents the soul from being dropped, which means you're immune to getting your whole soul wiped. Very important, because you don't want to risk losing all your Dragon Arms or your equipments which is in your soul. Next, we play 4 copies of our buddy monster, Fullwing. Fullwing is a really solid card, and I'm surprised that this set actually gave us 2 brand new Jackknives. Really hype. So similar to Overload, he has a concourse of putting it on top of a monster, a Dragon Arm or a Jack, and paying 1 gauge. He has a counter ability Enhancer, which can be used during your turn or opponent's turn, similar to Overlord. So it is very flexible, you could use this ability anytime during your opponent's battle phase. You can draw 1 card, then call up to 1 Jackknife from your hand on top of a monster without paying its core cost. So once again, a free evolution, and really important because its counter ability allows you to skip some attacks. So if your opponent were to swing and smash your Jackknife, you can actually use this ability, escape the attack, draw an extra card, and evolve to a new form to fight that situation. Really cool card, amazing card. It also has moves so they can reposition, it has double attack so they can swing in for hard damage. Really amazing card, make sure you play it 4. Next up, 3 copies of Evolved Form, Nova Guardian Jackknife. This guy is your offensive option on the deck, allowing you to dish out extra triple attack after chaining from your previous Jackknife forms, such as Fullwing or Overlord. Here's the concourse of putting this card on top of a monster on your field and paying 2 gauge. However, thanks to Overlord or Fullwing skill, this cost is nullified, which means you're doing it for free. What makes this card so amazing is its main ability. When this card enters the field by card effect, so you gotta make sure it's entered by card effects such as Fullwing, because if you're gonna enter with its basic core cost, you won't be able to get its benefits. Drop the top 4 cards of the deck, put up to 1 of them into your hand, and rest into this card's soul. Which means you'll be instantly getting so much pluses, 1 card into your hand, it could be any spells, and the rest chuck into its soul, equipping Jack with extra life and extra Dragon Arms for amazing abilities. So in order to unlock some crazy abilities, he has a counter skill. Drop a soul from this card. For this turn, this card gains triple attack and counter attack, which means you'll be able to use this skill during your opponent's turn or your turn. Your turn mostly for the triple attack because you'll be able to dish out some extra attacks, and counter attack during your opponent's turn so that you'll be able to break their board. And also he has moves so they can put a giant wall on the opponent's face. Next, 2 copies of Radiant Guardian Jackknife Aster. This is one of my favorite cards back in the days, and it's also one of the most terrifying meta cards back then. And it's back because there's so much burn in its meta. This card is simply amazing. With this card alone, your opponent won't be able to do you any impact damage. It protects you from crazy burn from Demon Dragons. And most importantly, the matchup, which is Atora, which is now dominating the meta. It has a card cost of paying 1 gauge, and you may put this card on top of a monster with Jackknife in its card name, which means even if you do not have any monsters to put on top, you can just call it as a monster, which is really good because sometimes you just want to call this Jackknife and then chuck in some Dragon Arms from your field and you get started with the engine. However, if you really want to put it on top of a monster, it has to be a Jackknife, unfortunately. But it's okay because most of the time you can also just call it normally and just chuck in Dragon Arms from the field into the soul. This card is the counter to Atora, one of the most terrifying meta decks right now. With its first ability, during your opponent's turn, if there's a Dragon Arm in this card's soul, this card cannot be destroyed by effects of your opponent's cards. One card that's been destroying the meta right now in Atora is the Ring card, Eternity Ring, and this card alone shuts down that card instantly. And you cannot be dealt damage by effects of your opponent's cards, and items on the field cannot be destroyed, which is awesome. Cards like Jackknife Fullwing allows you to transform during your opponent's turn, just in case you're fighting a matchup which will punish your life points. So 2 copies of Aster to counter the meta. Next, 4 copies of Tsuku's favorite size one, Shadow Scare. I'm glad that Shadow Scare is finally getting an upgrade and it's finally viable, because all the time in the anime I see Tasuku using Shadow Scare, which is a vanilla, and finally it's such an amazing ability. If an originally size 2 or greater new dragons on your field, this card on the field gains reduce 1 size, so it's a size 0. Its main ability is Miracle Vision. When a soul is put into your new dragon, look at the top 3 cards of the deck, put one of them into your gauge, one of them into your hand, and the rest into the drop zone or into the soul. It can be used during your turn or your opponent's turn. So during your opponent's turn, if you were to put cards into Jackknife, you'll be able to gain extraordinary pluses. Absolutely beautiful card and should be played at 4. Next, 3 copies of Dragon Arms J Panaratios. This card is simply amazing, a perfect counter to Etor, which is crazy in the meta right now. And one reason why I really like this card is because combine this with the new Dragon Force, which allows you to equip from the deck. If your opponent is playing a size 3 base deck, instantly equipping this card into the soul and dropping it out for its ability allows you to dominate your opponent's positioning, which is really good. Next up, 4 copies of J Avalanche. This card is really awesome because it accelerates your soul and speeds up your deck. So, its ability is if this card's in the soul of Jackknife with its card name, the card gains extra attack and defense 2k. However, the reason why I really like this card is because you can even splash 4 of this card in the deck. It doesn't affect your consistency of the deck. When this card enters the field, if you have a Jackknife, you can use one of the following effects. Either charge 1 gauge and gain 1 life, or draw a card. So basically, if you have 4 of these cards in your hand, you can just chuck them out into this Jack and just draw 4 cards. Your Jack instantly be equipped with 4 massive avalanches, giving you extra armor and extra attack power while refilling your hand size. Think about it, it's amazing. This is basically Charger on steroids. So 4 copies. Next, 2 copies of Gaia Fang. Another power up to help Jack fight against huge walls. So it's a unique activate ability which allows you to put this card from your hand into the soul of a monster on your field. And second ability, if this card is in the soul of a new dragon, all cards on the field gains plus attack 2k power for each soul card in your field. So think about it, with this deck you can easily chuck up 5 to 6 souls. So instantly your whole field will be getting plus 12k attack power, which will be able to run over a lot of huge walls. This is one of the main reasons I play 2. Mostly 2 because I'll be able to search out with my Dragon Force and I'm not really worried. The cool thing about this deck is you can play lots of cool Dragon Arms and you will guarantee to get them because you have a Dragon Force which tutors any Dragon Arms you need. Next, 2 copies of Chaos Triple Buster. One of my favorite designs, the new Triple Buster looks so menacing. So similar to Gaia Fang, its activate ability, put this card from your hand or field into the soul of another new dragon or chaos monster on the field. The reason why this is very important is because it is a size 3, which is pretty dang huge. And similar to Triple Buster, it has a problem of getting a soul unless you have some way to put it from the drop zone to the soul. But with this guy's ability, you can just chuck it from your hand right into the Jackknife without disturbing the size on the bot. The main reason why I use this card is because if this card's on the soul of a monster, all monsters on each player's field cannot be returned to hand. One thing very important about this is because Esther is immune to destruction, but it's not immune to bounce. And also, if you're fighting against decks like 7-2 Pillars which love to bounce their own cards, they won't be able to do so because this Gravity Resting Beast will prevent those cards from being bounced back, which is really good because it prevents a lot of strategy against the matchups as well. Its final ability, at the start of each player's attack phase, if this card in the soul of a monster, destroy up to 1 card on opponent's field. Really good because it gives you a little bit of tech in control in case you need to break some cards such as items or set spells. Triple Buster is your guy. So yeah, really awesome card. It gives you a lot of control. It gives you a bit of immunity against destruction, which is what Jackknife really needs. Next, mod equipment, J Holder. J Holder is a very old card, but it's really useful in the deck right now because you'll be able to accelerate so much so in the deck, and sometimes you really want to fetch some cards from the soul and add it to your hand, such as draw power spells or any defensive spells. So when this card is placed in the soul of monster of Jackknife, you may pay 1 life if you do put up to 1 card other than J Holder from that monster's soul into your hand. So just in case Nova Guardian has some stray cards that enter the soul such as an impact, you can always use J Holder to add it back to your hand. And don't be surprised that that happens very often because you have so much soul charging and there's a chance or two that some of your valuable spells enter the soul. And having J Holder to fetch it back is amazing. There's also strategies which you actually turbo stuff in the soul and use J Holder to fetch it back, such as Lost World. If you guys want to try Lost World, it is actually usable in this deck because there's so much draw power and Jackknife is just such a wonderful tank. Going to Lost World is a breeze with this deck, especially with J Holder. You can fetch Lost World back in the soul if it actually enters the soul. So yeah, J Holder 2 copies, just in case you need to fetch up valuable spells that happen to be in soul. We play 1 copy of Mayday because if you have Aster in your hand, you can always surprise opponents. Your opponent wants to attack, use Mayday from the soul, evolve, and your opponent misses their attack. 1 copy of Gabriel Ankle, really good because you set this guy in the soul, During your opponent's turn, if they were to use any searcher to search for their main engine, you can always use this Gather Ankle, pay 1 life, and Soul Blast. And you can nullify the spell. Really powerful spell now. Awesome. 1 copy of Triple Buster. This card is still very useful in the deck because you'll be able to fetch it out with Dragon Force. And the reason why this card is still in the deck is because it actually provides 1 extra critical and the penetrate abilities. If you're fighting against walls, mostly I'll use this card to search out for Triple Buster, equip it, so you'll be able to do some trample damage to your opponents. Awesome. 1 copy of the Breeze Sweeper, a really powerful card against certain matchups, such as only assassins or any cards that relies on the grave. This card prevents your opponent from calling stuff from the grave, and when this card attacks, you can disrupt a bit of their setup by sending cards from the drop zone back to the bottom of the deck. Really awesome. Back in the days, this card is anti-Oni assassin when Onis are huge, and yeah, I'm happy to play 1 copy of it since it's searchable by my Dragon Force. Now, for the spells, we play 3 copies of Starbright Soul. This card is very important in the deck because it is basically our Dragon Shine, allowing you to search for an item with release condition, which is our Dragon Force, the MVP of the deck. We play 3 copies because you really want to see Dragon Force in your hand. And if you already have a Dragon Force, do not worry, it's an amazing second ability. Put up to 2 Dragon Arms and a Monster Jackknife in its card name from your drop zone into your hand. So basically at the cost of 1 life, you get 2 free cards to your hand. Awesome. Some of the few Dragon Arms that I really like to add back is J Avalanche because it allows you to draw cards. Just add it back to your hand for fun. Draw some cards and power your Jackknife, give you more extra armor, extra defense. So 3 copies of Starbright Soul because you really want to see your Dragon Force in your hand. 2 copies of Iris Lilac. This card is really popular in this new set because not only is a Starting World card and a Dungeon World card, it is also 100 Demon cards. I kind of wish they added the 100 Demon symbol here. It would look really cool. Really unexpected for this card to ever make an appearance because who knew they could have a crossover between 3 different worlds. So immediate cards card during your turn is the card's cost of Soul Blast 1, which is easy for my deck because Jackknife has so much soul. Counter ability, look at top 3 cards of the deck, put 1 of them to your hand and the rest into your gauge. So it's basically a superhero time at the cost of 1 Soul Blast. Pretty easy for these deck owners, such as Yamigedo, Jackknife, and Fogtail. So 2 copies is just right because it can only be used once per turn. You want to play more, I think 3 is the max I would go. 2 to 3 is alright. Next, 2 copies of Starjack Revival, one of the ultimate defense card in the game. Cast cost Soul Blast 1 from Jack and discard 1 card. Counter ability, choose 1 of the following abilities. For this turn, all monsters of Jackknife on the field can be destroyed or leave the field but due to opponent's cards. So cards like Ventias Destroyer won't be able to send it away. Pretty cool. And second ability is main ability. Until you end the next turn, you cannot lose the fight. It's basically ostracism effect. 1 second copy of Heavenly Crystal Awakening. The chance of you using Overturn this deck is too damn high, so might as well make use of it. Charging 3 gates and drawing 3 extra cards. 1 copy of Dragon Arms Factory. With the amounts of Dragon Arms in your hand, sending them drop zone for extra 2 cards is always nice. So just 1 take-in copy because I really love the artwork and it's one of my favorite draw spells back in the days. 2 copies of Star Believer, one of my favorite draw spells. The artwork is amazing and I just love these favorite text. So it's a card called Soul Blasting 1 and draw 2 cards and gain 1 life. So it's pretty simple, it's kind of like a nice one except that you have to Soul Blast 1, which is not a real problem in the Jackknife deck since we have so much soul to spare. Now for the items, we play 3 copies of Gold Ritter because it's basically a rota or reinforcement of the army for any of your Jackknife deck at the cost of 2 gauge. So discard this card from your hand and pay 2 gauge. You boost such a deck for up to 1 Jackknife and add it to your hand. This is the reason why the deck has a lot of consistency. Gauge is never a problem because we have a lot of gates acceleration, and having Gold Ritter ensures that you have perfect consistency of the deck. However, the main weapon of the deck is 2 copies of Style of Future. He has a release cost of having a new dragon or Jack in his card name and having 2 or more dragon arms, which is perfectly easy in his deck. This card on the field cannot be destroyed or bounced back to hand, and its ability cannot be nullified. But however, still watch out for Ventias Destroyer because it's sent to the drop zone. And its amazing counter ability is Activate Counter during each player's attack phase. So anytime during your opponent's battle phase or your battle phase, choose a new dragon on the field and put up to 1 dragon arms from your hand or deck and add it to the soul of the chosen card. And also is an inbuilt double attack, so you'll be able to dish out 6 points of damage with a single powerful awesome card. So this card alone is one of the main reasons why Jackknife deck is now so insane. Allowing you to toolbox based on the situation is just too dang good. So 2 copies of Star Future because it's searchable, even play 3 is fine. So 2 to 3. And finally 2 copies of the brand new Impact Stardust Shining Punisher! So you may card this card if opponent's 5 or less, and you have Jackknife on the field, and you have a release condition which is pretty much guaranteed since this deck is really consistent. Deal 5 damage to your opponents without any gauge cost. Free guys, free! It's free 5 damage for no gauge cost, and it's just there to deal you 5 damage. It's just insane. And if opponent would die, they can't be revived by card effects. So I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on Tsuku's Star Dragon World Jackknife deck. If you'd like to see more awesome Buddyfight deck profiles, be sure to subscribe to my channel and leave a like on this video. So till next time, keep on Buddyfighting!